So where I disagree
Is
with
Trump
you,
a creator coin? Is Trump coin a creator coin?
yeah, in my opinion. I mean, so like,
He's underpaid. He's only getting paid $400K a year to be president. He's got to monetize somehow.
hi everyone, welcome to Unchained, your no-hype resource for all things crypto. I'm your host, Laura Shin. Thanks for joining this live stream. Just a heads up, this is a pre-record, but I feel quite certain you will want to listen to this one. Before we get started, a quick reminder, nothing here on Unchained is investment advice. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and my guests and I may hold assets discussed on the show. For more information, visit unchainedcrypto.com.
If you look at most debts today, they depend on quite a complex mesh of different infrastructure, a lot of which is centralized. Walrus is a decentralized data platform. It's particularly good with large, unstructured data files, and it allows you to store and use those without dependency on any centralized systems. It works really well as part of the Sui stack. It was created by Miston Labs, who are also the originators of that Sui stack. And what that means is natively together, they allow developers to build with trust, ownership, privacy baked in right from the beginning. And what this does is it allows you to build use cases that monetize data in ways that just have not been possible before. So there are whole new revenue streams that are now available to builders to come and build on Walrus.
Today's topic is 2025 Year in Review. Here to discuss are Gwart, host of The Gwart Show, and Doug Colkitt, co-founder of Fogo and Ambient Finance. Welcome, Doug and Gwart.
Hi, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Happy to be here. Hopefully we can make it funny. I promise you we can make this funny in some capacity. So I do appreciate you having us on.
Okay, so everyone, just a heads up. We are not here for serious discussion. We are here to basically just shoot the shit over the big events of 2025. This is not meant to be informative. This is meant to be pure entertainment. So we are basically going to just run through a big list of highlights of the news from the year. And to my mind, I think we have to start with the Trump and Melania meme coins. That really was the big introduction to crypto in 2025. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts, Gwart and Doug, about what happened then and, what you thought it meant for the coming year, for what was then the coming year in crypto.
Doug, take it first.
Well, I wasn't convinced by the Trump coin, but the Melania coin came out. It was all in on Melania. So no, I think that the second one really sold it. I didn't know they were in on it till both of the couple. It's really when a husband and wife are both in it. It's shows dedication to the space.
Yeah, I think it was sort of, well, first of all, like obviously we've now seen the secondary and tertiary effects of this, and a lot of people think that was like very clearly the beginning of the end, and it nuked all liquidity out of everything. But I do think, in all seriousness, I know we're not supposed to be serious, but that was the first, I would say that was the first, like in my mind, it was like very elucidating, where obviously leading up to Trump's election, it was like quite clear why, crypto needed to align itself. Like I think it was sort of make or break, and I think crypto realized that to some extent with like getting on board with somebody who wasn't going to destroy this industry. Because I think we were at sort of a tipping point where if somebody in office wasn't willing to kind of like create positive regulation on the space, like it was not looking good. But I think that the subsequent like meme coin and just the degree to which he has gone like full balls deep into crypto has been extremely, I mean, it was like, oh my God, like no way. Right. And so that to me, like, it, not to say that it was just, like, I don't know. I felt convinced that, he was going to be involved in some capacity, but I don't think I expected this. And I certainly did not. I mean, the Melania one was like truly like, oh no, like this could actually get really, really bad.
It was literally the day before Inauguration Day, right? It was like the night before Inauguration Day, wasn't it? It was like, it wasn't just even releasing a coin. It was like right before I'm president, I'm going to.
Yeah, so Trump did it on Friday night, and then Melania did it Sunday, and then inauguration was Monday. But Gwart, I mean, what are you saying here? Like, I think Melania, like Doug said, that's what sold it. I think that probably is what made Doug a true believer.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, so Melania is a dedicated dev.
Well, first of all, like, who were they working with, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, and now we're kind of all like,
I think they were working
remember
with our favorite Hayden Davis,
Hayden guy?
who's
That was
the
right.
Hayden in all of crypto.
So, but also, wasn't this the night of that ball thing they had? And it was at like a random hour, right? And Sol went to an all-time high because there was just so much demand to buy Trump coin.
I mean, the one like serious point is, amazingly, Sol did not go down, and it all worked perfectly. And so it was a gift to the industry to have this like surprise big test, and yeah, Solana passed. So yeah, okay. So we can move on, I think, to the next event, because we are going to talk about our favorite Hayden in crypto, Hayden Davis, who was part of the esteemed Libra coin and launch. So yeah, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that event.
That was like honestly even more ridiculous. And then afterwards, what were the shows he went on and just was rambling? Oh no, almost incoherent. And
The sweater, the laser with like you wear your shoulder.
Every day, his head small.
Yeah, but it's really like it's extremely. I mean, like this is outrageous that every single lawyer in the world would have told him, like, do not say a word. And he went on and said very many words. And it doesn't seem like thus far there's been any repercussion.
Yeah, well, it's in Tokyo, right? At like the Amman.
At the Amman right now.
At the buffet, I think he was, yeah.
He and SBF must have the same lawyer giving them advice on.
Yeah, but SBF is in jail, and it doesn't seem like this kid's in jail, right?
No. But, you know, the Samurai wallet developer is now. So I think that's, there's a lesson in there for somebody to learn. I don't know what it is, but.
The lesson has not really been taught, I'll be honest. Like, if he's just walking around the Amman in Tokyo, it doesn't, I don't know. Wasn't there some, I mean, this is probably just crypto Twitter making stuff up, but there was like something about, you know, Interpol or, you know, some type of, you know, the people who enforce the rules were
Argentina. They said like the Argentine government was going to go, it was like an enemy of the state of Argentina or something. And they were putting out like.
So it is true that an attorney requested an Interpol red notice for Davis, and it's an attorney in Argentina, but I don't know if that means that like that actually happened. So,
I mean, the crazy part is that with like all of us sitting here and, you know, I'm not trying to slander or say anything like too derogatory, but like it does seem like he pulled off this massive heist of sorts, and none of us, it doesn't seem like readily apparent that he necessarily did anything illegal. Like, I don't know for a fact that what he did was illegal. Like, that's the crazy part to me, is that like I'm sitting here and like, yeah, well, maybe this was just, you know, your standard pump.fun launch, and there's like everybody knew what they were getting themselves into, right?
I mean, yeah, I like,
yeah,
whether or not it's legal, that is, yeah, that's probably actually not a decided thing.
This Melee tweeted from his main account, right? It was like, this is my coin. And then he came back as like, this is not my coin.
Well, I think he said that this was like, I was going to benefit Argentina in some way. I forget. Like, he thought he was promoting a business, or that's what he claimed. Like, he thought he was promoting something that was beneficial for Argentina. But
I mean, I still don't know like the inside story of how he got to like this guy Hayden got to the president of Argentina and convinced him to launch a coin. Like, there ultimate something weird happened there.
He was like drop shipping sneakers the year before, and now he's launching like, you know, coins with the world leaders, like this the
literal world leaders.
Yeah.
it must have been his impressive shoulder pads. Like, that's all I think of.
That is built. Nobody can match it.
Okay. So next event that we're going to talk about, it's going to seem a little serious, but there's no way we can avoid it. the Bybit hack, which was the biggest hack, I think, in the whole entire world, in all of history. And yeah, it involves our favorite developers in crypto, the DPRK developers. I'm such a fangirl. What are your takes on that?
Yeah, I think it was pretty wild how right, like they had to override, was it Gnosis safe, or maybe it was actually they were getting them to sign different things.
They had like they had they had compromised one of the Gnosis safe developers, and that allowed them to change something in like AWS or whatever, and then change it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were able to display like the wrong thing and the signature. Like, I've been on a multi-sig of a protocol, and it's just like, it's like at some point you're like, am I being too paranoid? Like I have separate machines. I like, everything's air gap. Like I double check like 3 different machines that the signatures are right. And it's like, no, well, like, it's just the level of paranoia is like crazy. You have to be on like any sort of multi-sig signer.
All I can say is I think those developers probably, like in Korea or in North Korea, which people probably know, if you get punished, then the next 3 generations of your family can also receive the same punishment. Like if you get sent to the gulag, then the next 3 generations will be born in the gulag. And yeah, maybe the next 3 generations of these developers will be sitting pretty in North Korea, just, getting like palm fronds, fanning their faces all day. But I did also want to ask, the other thing that was so crazy to me about that hack was that they didn't do a test transaction. They moved.
Oh yeah.
Like what was it, like $2 billion or something? Like just with a single I was just like, what the like they just had, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna cover it with our profits. Like they just have so much money.
One thing, yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I was thinking one thing. This isn't so much funny, but after the hack, the CEO was like on a live stream. Is like everybody now uses the immediate like go on a live stream or go on some podcast, but he was on a live stream like maybe 6 hours afterwards. And I remember thinking at the time, like, man, this is either gonna be one of those things where we look back and we're like, oh, like this was the end of him and Bybit. But I will say I was like quite impressed. He seemed pretty honest and direct in his kind of PR, and they've worked everything out. So I will say, like, I was quite impressed with Bybit being able to cover this, and like overall the comms were quite good around it. And the reason I say this is like astonishing because I very much thought, I remember watching him and he was like getting questions from the chat, right? Like just like randoms, asking questions.
Threat guy? Which live?
No, it wasn't threat guy. He was just like they did like a an in-house like chat. Like I'm gonna do a live stream answer, and then I'm gonna do like a live Q&A. And I remember at the time being like, okay, this feels like very SBF. Like not to be too sort of doomer, but I was like, man, like exactly. And we're all gonna look back and be like, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that was my point though, because like if there was times when SBF did pretty well, right? Like he came across like this, Digo Gray.
And if you were a crypto person and understood anything, then you wouldn't think so. But maybe to a non-crypto person.
Okay, like I'm saying, prior to FTX, SBF had, prior to the collapse, SBF had this like endearing, like, oh, he's just smarter than all of us. He gets it. Like, let him be. And even if he's a bit quirky, but he would do these, interviews and stuff and come across a little bit, weird or like condescending, but it was like, oh, that's SBF, right? So but my point was with the Bybit hack thing was like it was the same, like the front and center man, like answering questions from the public, engaging, and it's like, okay, this could either go really well or really poorly, and like all things considered, like it's turned out quite well, right?
His lawyers definitely told him don't do that,
right? Well, you would have thought Hayden's lawyers would have told him not to do that.
Yeah, so basically, Ben, if you're listening and the whole Bybit exchange thing doesn't work out, you have a very promising future in crisis communications. I think that's the takeaway. All right, okay. Next topic. Let's talk about the XRP and Cardano reserve that Trump floated on Twitter, which I think, got a collective groan from crypto, except for certain more diluted subgroups within crypto. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that one.
Well, I know Gwart's a big XRP fan. So,
I mean, it's like the most patent, right? I don't know. I don't want to use the wrong terminology here, but it's something like pay for play. I don't know how else to describe it, right? Like intense lobbying. It's everybody. So this was another thing where we all get behind Trump as this like somebody who's going to, lead crypto to the promised land, and then like this is what ends up happening, and it's kind of like, oof, like I don't know about this. And yeah, that I remember them tweeting that, right? And how did that even come out? And
Trump literally just tweeted it straight from his Truth Social profile, like out of the blue. Like, and not only that, but he didn't mention Bitcoin or Ether. It was XRP, Solana, and Cardano. Those were the three named in the tweet.
That was the beginning of the end for ETH, I think. That was the top.
Cardano got the nudge. They got our nod.
Got it. Not ETH. Sorry. Not peer-reviewed enough.
Well, it's also coming to you because... Go ahead.
It's funny because it's like, right, like a lot of people who aren't in crypto are like, just think, oh, crypto's all like scammy, like vaporware, whatever. And then there are like people in crypto who like probably think some of these coins are like, okay, this is not like real crypto. But it's kind of like maybe a taste of our, a taste of what other people outside crypto kind of probably view all of Trump and crypto, or at least kind of the skeptics.
Well, also you have to understand that, and I this isn't, this isn't necessarily my thought. I think a lot of people have kind of, said this before, but crypto outside of crypto Twitter actually is a lot of XRP and a lot of Cardano, right? Like we make this joke about the Uber drivers, like for some reason they love XRP and they love Cardano. Like these groups of coins that none of us really talk about on a daily basis, most of us don't follow, most of us think are largely vaporware, are like somehow resonating with the American people, or like some of the American people, right? So it's one of those things I think where like it was especially jarring for us because like we're like, hang on, you didn't even include Bitcoin or ETH, like, and those are the things we talk about all the time. But if you're trying to reach mass, audience with these things, like, yeah, it probably is not a bad idea to pump the coins or, show support for the coins that the taxi drivers like, or whatever the trope is.
Yeah, but actually the reason he did that, I don't know if you guys remember this, Politico came out with a news article explaining how that tweet got tweeted, and it was something like the Ripple lobbyist got him to do that, and somehow did it like they persuaded him to do it the night before, and it sort of bypassed the normal checks on his tweets. And not only that, but that in the tweet, the reason that Solana was included was to make it seem more legitimate to crypto people. Like literally Solana, they did not lobby at all for anything even remotely related to that, and they were as shocked as anybody else that they were included. But like Ripple apparently wanted Solana to be in the tweet to make it look more legit. So,
well, I mean, obviously he took an Uber the night before, got talking to the driver, and he was built.
So I guess the XRP and Cardano communities have to thank their emissary in the Uber driver, which I'm sure the Secret Service loved that President Trump took an Uber.
Just getting some pizza late at night, Friday. Grab an Uber.
Okay. Next topic. White House Crypto Summit, which had this glorious presentation of like something related to FIFA in addition to talking about crypto. A lot of interesting people there. Some real legit people in crypto, obviously. A16Z, Coinbase, Gemini, Chainlink. There were others as well. Brad Garlinghouse was there. Curious for your thoughts, and let's not forget the FIFA bit.
I actually don't remember the FIFA bit. What happened?
I think like if I recall correctly, we were all trying to watch this live stream, and the whole first like 30 minutes was him doing this. Was there going to be like a FIFA coin as well? Is like something it was like adjacent to crypto, or was it just with regards to the World Cup stuff? I just remember watching this and like it was all about the FIFA thing for the first 30 minutes.
So he
Yeah.
pitched the idea of a FIFA coin, but he also like unveiled what was it? I think he unveiled like a, you know, yeah, what was that? It was like a statue-ish thing, or I don't know. Yeah, unfortunately I didn't like rewatch it for this episode, but don't you remember he like had this thing on his table and it was like gold? Yeah, and
Oh, is this what you felt like a gold brick or something? I vaguely remember this. Yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunate that I didn't get a chance to it was like a World Cup trophy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Did they ever come out with FIFA coin? Or is that still in development?
That's in the works.
A lot of tech needed for that. Some research and
Wait.
development.
So at least so we pitched the idea, but then I think there was like an unrelated FIFA coin that took off. So like, yeah, he mentioned this, but then the actual coin that took off because of it was not actually related to FIFA. It just had the name.
Oh, it just had the name FIFA.
Just your standard pump.fun there.
Was that Hayden again? Was that or another Hayden special?
Pump.fun meets White House Crypto Summit. Okay. Well, so now we're going to talk about something that was actually like significant crypto news, in my opinion, which really started in 2024. And it was the success of Hyperliquid. And that, has kind of become like a category definer. We've seen like so many new entrants come to compete in that space because of Hyperliquid's success. And, despite how so many other crypto projects have done, Hyperliquid is in a position where it pretty much still has like nearly all the true believers I think that it had. And yeah, so there's so many phases of their 2025 that we could talk about. There was the scandal around the centralization and the bridge security, where Taylor Monahan was pointing out, hey, you guys, like North Korean, people are using your protocol and they're clearly trying to figure out how to hack it. Then, there were a few different things with like Arthur Hayes, initially buying a bunch and then selling a bunch because of the unlocks, the whole James Wynn arc, and then the fight with CZ in tweets. Then there's been a whole bunch of competitors. We will talk about 1010 later, but yeah, any thoughts on any aspect of Hyperliquid's arc in 2025?
Doug, you're the I mean, I feel like it was a very cynical year, right? Like, especially got more cynical as the year went on. And, Hyperliquid is the one coin where people kind of weren't cynical about. Maybe even just the past couple weeks, people have been kind of getting frustrated. But other, like, it's kind of amazing in terms of like, I can't think of another coin this year, maybe BTC, where people are like, as like non-critical of it with good reason.
Yeah, or maybe Zcash.
Zcash, yeah, that's true.
Gwart, what are your thoughts on Hyperliquid's arc?
I don't know that I have anything especially profound to add. I think what they've done is remarkable. They should be, showing that you can make money, I think was, as crazy as it sounds, pretty profound in a sense. The buybacks and the way that Hyperliquid generates fees and turns that around and creates value, I think there was somewhat of a paradigm shift with Hyperliquid. And I think this revenue meta, which is obviously hilarious to anybody outside of our industry listening, right? Like the revenue meta, you mean just how markets and businesses work. But for crypto, it's like one of the first, I think, really widespread and sort of like, it was an example of something like, okay, this is like a way that a application can make money and turn around and create value in its token. I think the secondary effects of that have been quite good, at least in terms of how we're now thinking about it. So I'm very impressed with Hyperliquid. Obviously, it's a competitive space. Doug's competing. I'm not competing, but everybody else I know is competing. So, I will
Perk Dex.
Yeah, it would immediately supplant Fogo or whatever it's called. I think that's like with regards to the jelly thing, that is not it's not ideal. Also, the way they handled it maybe makes a lot of sense for users of the protocol. With that said, you look at that from the outside and you see a very low liquidity coin that can be, manipulated, and then the rules kind of changed to undo the manipulation. It's like it's a slight, stain on I'm not, and again, I'm not saying they necessarily handle it wrong, but those things like do show there's still room for improvement, perhaps.
Yeah, it's at least against the crypto ethos. I think for me, like what I have thought was hilarious was there was different memes that have gone around about Jeff and CZ, and there's like random things that I've seen where people will tweet like photos of Jeff, and they'll like just make so I don't remember exactly when this was or what this was, but there was a photo of Jeff kind of like just sitting probably like in an audience somewhere, and he was sort of leaning back, and then he had his legs in shorts and they were sort of stretched out, and he's like an athletic guy, and like they said something about like his legs being like whatever, like something about the athleticism of his legs and how that gave him confidence and hyper. I forget the exact tweet, but the reason I mentioned this is because then later you had these tweets where CZ would be like doing push-ups or people would like put an image of Jeff like behind, see like CZ like lurking behind him, like watching him do his push-ups or whatever. And I just thought those were so funny. And yeah, there is something to this whole like Jeff versus CZ arc that I find hilarious, and like the memes about it.
Jeff, he does look like a trustworthy guy. Like if
Are you saying CZ doesn't?
no comment on that, but no, I don't know. It's also, I mean, Jeff's interesting, like how he handles kind of comms and stuff, right? Like he's very much kind of different than a lot of founders, where he's less is more. He doesn't say a ton, but like what he does say, I think kind of is clear, and people trust him a lot. So it works because they have a lot of credibility. Obviously.
Yeah. Kane, on a recent show of ours on Easy Money, he said that he liked to see that Jeff was being more proactive on the timeline, and like not being as aloof. Okay, you guys, I just have to ask you about the whole James Wynn arc. Do you think that, like, who do you think James Wynn was? And I know we all eventually heard him talk on infamous Twitter Spaces, and that was alarming, but what? Because I don't know if you remember, there was a period where the rumor was like it was a CC alt. So what did you think of that whole thing?
It's really just the voice. Huh. It's just that Twitter space when he came on was, I mean, he was obviously drunk or something, right? Like it was, I don't know.
I mean, he is British, so.
I mean, like lost it on. He's
more than British. He's more than just
sure. Okay, aggressively British. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It feels like it does seem like people were. I think with CT, a lot of times, like people want to look for like a hero, and it's like a trader hero. Like this guy like knows what he's doing. He generates alpha, and like at the end of the day, I don't know how many people CT looks up to actually generate alpha, or they just take. Yeah, maybe zero. They just take, right? They're just gamblers, right? And it's just whoever's had the hottest run at the table in the past, 6 months. So I don't know. It just seems like a recurring thing where it's like, okay, CT picks a hero, like thinks he's amazing, and then, kind of ends up your hero's passed out on the front lawn with his pants over his head.
Yeah, at that point, though, he was trying to do other things to make money, which, like, he was taking donations. And
dude, he did it. He had a meme coin, right? What was the meme coin called?
He had a meme coin?
Oh man,
like a pump one?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was very much so a meme coin. Yeah, the whole thing was quite bizarre. I mean, he's like throwing around $1 billion in size, and then is pumping a meme coin with like $30 million market cap. It didn't really it should have maybe keyed people into whether or not this guy was like a gigabrain trader or just like was running super hot, right? But Yeah, I tend to agree. It's like the hottest guy at the table. Crypto Twitter tends to coalesce around, and then they realize that it was just, running way above expectation for a certain amount of time. Like, oh, hang on now.
Yeah, I mean, see who the next one is.
Yeah, but it's not only that he had the meme coin, he did something else, which I can't remember. It was to make money, but initially he was like soliciting the donations, and then it was something like he
Did he get any? How much did he get donated to him? Oh my goodness.
he did get some donations.
Who was the person donating to James Wynn? You should have that person on as a guest. The guy who donated money to James Wynn.
Yeah, but the interesting thing too about that was, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was at one point, I don't know if you remember this, Doug, but he was up. He was like
100.
actually up. Was it over 100 million, right?
It was over 100, yeah.
Yeah. And so at that point, like, that's an amount of money where you really can just move to an island forever. You know what I mean? And so I think the actual, like, part of the allure there was just the actual, like, nominal size was very, was like, whoa, this is real money, right? And for it just to all go down to zero, it's like, well, hang on.
Like, if you keep betting the farm, you're going to lose the farm. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, a good cautionary tale for crypto this year. I'm not sure how many people learned that lesson before 1010, but anyway, okay. What about the EF turnaround or Ethereum turnaround? Obviously, 2024 was a period of pain, in my opinion, for Ethereum. The community kind of had a revolt. Some people might be mad at me for saying that, even though the Ethereum community was very loud on the timeline. I'm just reporting the facts. They were demanding, that the leadership change. There was a lot of pointed commentary at Vitalik himself directly. And in 2025, really, honestly, it's really only one of the new co-executive directors, Tomasz Stanchek. The other one, Xiaowei Wang, she doesn't like say a lot or do a lot, as far as I can tell, or at least most people talk about Tomasz. But yeah, it sort of feels like Ethereum is in a much better place than it was a year ago. So I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that one.
Oh, Gwart loves Ethereum. He's a ETH maxi, so I don't want to say anything bad might make him mad.
I will be honest.
You guys should have a throwdown right now.
I don't have. So I really don't, like, I'll just be very direct. I don't think that like the price action or reemergence of Ethereum has anything to do with the turnaround at the EF. Like, there's just, in terms of price action last year, it's because Tom Lee, first of all, we had a mini bear market, and then we have Tom Lee and ETFs and institutions, and the tech is like, it honestly is functionally irrelevant to what is actually pumping the price. And with regards to partnerships and where people are building, that also doesn't have much to do with the price at a functional level. I mean, it's in people's minds more often, right? Maybe it's in retail's minds more often, like people who are looking for stuff to buy. Like, okay, then, Doug is notorious in our group chat for talking about, shilling ETH to his country club's dentist, right? Like his dad's orthodontist friends, right? Like, they want to pile into something that's not big. Yeah.
It's Tuesday.
Yes, dude, that's the where the bike's coming from.
But this, like, I mean, I just don't believe that the EF turned around or like anything. I mean, it's just purely like a function of market, like, oscillations, right? And people read into this stuff and, Ethereum's in war mode. It's like, no, dude, Tom Lee is on CNBC right now.
Such good hair. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's a much more, that has more to do with it than the turnaround at the, like, nonprofit organization that's primarily funding, frivolous endeavors in third world countries. Like, that's my opinion.
Solidity lessons for orphans in Namibia.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how many ETH holders could actually name an executive director. The EF.
Good question.
I'd heard of Tomasz. Like, I followed this turnaround, but yes, agreed. In terms of, like, maybe 5%,
Yeah, maybe.
And that was generous. I don't know. I ironically would say it's much more likely that somebody who holds Ethereum knows somebody like Tomash than a Bitcoin holder knows Peter Wille or, Greg Maxwell. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's more likely that somebody in Ethereum.
When did Peter from Geth rage quit? Was that this year?
2024.
Well, it was from not killer.
Yeah.
I feel like that was the nadir of kind of the politics there. I do think things have gotten marginally.
No, I think it got worse after he left for a little while. He left earlier in 2024. I could be wrong, but
maybe.
Going back to my good hair point, I think the only good hair person in Solana is Ansem. And I saw that he tweeted recently that he didn't go to any Solana events this year. So, that's they need
Yeah, has he been a Solana guy for any of 2025 at all? I don't think he's been.
I don't know. He's definitely more of a meme coin person, so
it is interesting, Solana, how you have these two different worlds, right? Like this whole meme coin world, and then we're in a chat with a couple Solana devs. I'm so the devs at Onzo have no idea who people you should thread guy who's thread guy I don't know who's the vape cabal. I've never heard of that. So it's kind of funny there.
All right, so in a moment, we're going to talk about some other big news from 2025. But first, a quick word from the sponsors to make this show possible.
Before we built Walrus, what we heard a lot from developers was the need for speed, and we had it ourselves. So reads and writes are extremely fast on Walrus, and this means that apps don't lag even with really large files. Privacy was another thing that we heard a lot about, and Walrus lets developers encrypt data with our primitive called Seal, and with that you have full control over who accesses your data, and everything is enforced on-chain. And this enables these really incredible use cases that haven't been possible before. Everything from more reliable AI models to data markets where users can monetize their data. So if you put this all together, what this actually means is the developers can finally build apps and they feel Web 2 fast, but you've got Web 3 level guarantees.
Back to my conversation with Doug and Gwart. All right. So the other big event that happened in the spring that really took a lot of crypto people by surprise was the Circle IPO. And I remember that Arthur Hayes was on the show literally at least within 2 weeks before, maybe even days before the IPO happened. And he was basically talking about how, he didn't think this was a buy and for all these reasons. And then, the IPO just took off. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of such a dichotomy how much equity markets are. And maybe it goes back to a whole year, right? Equity markets are just bullish in general. And I think something that's really frustrating with crypto now is it just price action sucks compared to NASDAQ, but even crypto stocks, it's obvious boomers who are buying stocks are way more optimistic right now than actual crypto people.
Yeah, so the dumping on retail. Oh, go ahead.
No, I mean, nothing especially, unique, but I do think there was because Circle was the first, correct me if I'm wrong, Circle was the first to really market itself and also have momentum in the equities markets, one with crypto, but specifically with stable coins, which were simultaneously having, as they still are, I suppose, but having a kind of time moment. And so I think that anybody wanted access to, stable coins in traditional markets because this is the next big narrative. It's also dumped a lot. I don't think we should we'd be remiss not to talk about this, right? It went way up and then some unlocks, which we are very familiar with in crypto. And it's also gone down a lot. And maybe this is just, kind of following in line with the crypto markets. But yeah, I think playing into this stablecoin hype, again, it's not immediately clear that Circle is going to be the obvious kind of winner take all, and nor will they even necessarily capture all the value that they propose. But yeah, I think that was the obvious kind of narrative there. And yeah, it definitely went straight up for a while, right?
What's how much did it go down? Actually, I haven't seen the chart.
So
It's
the
down like
day of the IPO, it looks like it was at 82, and eventually it reached a high of about 263. But
yeah.
as of this moment, it's at 84. So it's
So
basically,
you're right at the IPO level.
Yeah.
yep.
They're defending that. They got a buy wall set up.
Yeah, and
The funny thing is, people. I think a lot of crypto people don't realize there are like unlocks and like locked equity and like IPOs and stuff. They think it's a very like crypto specific phenomenon, but like float management exists with
Yeah.
stocks too.
yeah. Okay. So the next big event was the introduction of Robinhood chain. This was like easily one of the most slick events I've ever seen in all of crypto. I mean, did you see the intro to that event where like Vlad? Yeah, and he drives in this sports car. Yeah. I mean, it was really well done. I totally wish I could have been there. I think the only thing was like the Wi-Fi didn't work well, and the outdoor setting was like the only, but otherwise it was like so slick. And I'm sure you're all very well aware it caused kind of, controversy is the right word, but people were just like surprised that they picked this L2 on Ethereum, not Solana, because I think it had been rumored that they were going to do Solana. So yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on just all really any of their announcements, because also in that chain of events they had the little like brouhaha with OpenAI being like, that's not OpenAI equity.
Well, like the fake OpenAI equity. Yeah.
Yeah, Vlad fits very well into like the ask forgiveness, not permission type dynamic that we have in crypto, right? He's like in the same archetype as a lot of our founders, and not only that, but he obviously understands the kind of merging of the casino and trading. Like this has been very much the selling point of Robinhood. But but to the point about the chain, I think, I mean, I don't want to speculate or slander, but I think like all of these things, I'm sure they got incentivized in some capacity to come to, right?
You mean like paid by Arbitrum?
I'm sure, right? Like it's almost certainly. That's how these things work. Like all of them are like, Doug, say something. I mean, I'm not like, am I beat the news though right now?
No, I don't want to slander Arbitrum, but
No, but it's something wrong.
And like it could have been that Solana could have paid them, and maybe
actually that's a quick. Why didn't Solana pay? Like, okay, you got to pay. Why didn't Solana?
Because Solana clearly is paying a lot of people.
Yeah, paying a lot of people are
Western
rubbish than Robinhood.
Right. Well, okay, but sure. But I'm just saying, like, with a lot of these things, obviously you probably have seen my kind of cynical perspective on a lot of this stuff, but like we kind of overthink the tech they choose and like the back office software. They're like, Robinhood is going to go where they think, okay, first of all, if they get paid a lot or have a lot of good, if they feel like whoever's going to kind of help them out with this is going to be on top of it, right? And somebody like Robinhood coming, they're going to have the integrations ready. They're going to figure out how to tokenize Tesla, whatever. So that's the first thing. And then like, it's not, I mean, Robinhood will go wherever. I think we try to like dig into like, oh, they chose this tech over this tech. It's like, well, maybe they were paid. And second of all, like they'll go wherever they think that they can, make the most money. Right. And so I don't think.
So where I don't agree with you is I think they could have been paid by anybody. So I think the money actually doesn't matter where it comes from because they're going to get the money. So that's why I actually feel like they did choose Arbitrum for the tech. Like they talk about that stylus thing, which translates the Solidity language to like a bunch of other languages that like developers can like already know who aren't familiar with Solidity. And then the other piece is they can make money being the sequencer for the L2, and they can't do that on Solana. So yeah, so the money coming in from an outside source that's gonna happen no matter what. So I don't think that's a factor.
Okay, that's fair. The sequencer aspect, right? Like this is a large part of the whole L2 roadmap is, control your own sequencing. And so, yeah, that part's true. And also, I don't think there's no company where it's more clear that Robinhood is the distribution, right? Like they own the user in that capacity. So, I mean, that one's pretty straightforward. And that's a big pull for crypto as a whole. I will.
I'm not sure how much they can play with like this, like just regulatory wise, like.
Why can't they do what Base does though?
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing.
I mean, because they're a broker and like you're the user and they're trading stocks through you and there's like this fiduciary, like you can't, if you're like a regular like broker, you can't just be like, oh, we're going to rearrange some of our users' trades like coming in to, run MEV or whatever. I don't know. It feels
Yeah,
like
but Base doesn't, Base is like what? First come, first serve or whatever. I mean, Base has at least well, I don't know.
it's an auction for like the top of the.
Well, what, like the flash blocks thing? Okay, we're you should know this. Isn't this your domain?
Yeah, I should know this actually.
So, well, but I guess my point is, Base is not letting SCP just run rampant over its users.
Yeah,
obviously, right? Like, so they have some rules
Smushing people, yeah.
right? But they're definitely not sandwiching.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of Base, there was a lot of chatter about Base through the year. Some of it not always positive, mainly because there was a lot of commentary around things like Jesse going around saying, making these videos of himself saying, "Do you want to get on chain? Can I pay you, $50 or whatever to get on chain?" And there were even some, it was the same with these creator coins. People were not always vibing with the creator coin meta, I guess you could say. So, what's your comments on that whole thing?
Yeah, I think most of the responses were absolutely not. Please get away from me. I don't know. Might have a restraining order from one or two people after that attempt.
I'm trying to remember if they even had one video where somebody accepted.
Did anybody? It was literally giving away $100 on the street. Did anybody?
I don't think it was $100.
No,
It was like, I think it's less.
It was 50.
why would he not just do $100?
I mean, look, most people don't want to be approached and, propositioned to download something on their phone.
Download the software.
Download the spyware so you can make creator coins with me. It's like not actually that compelling of a pitch to your average like sidewalk walker.
No,
But the other thing too was okay. So the one thing that I would mention about the Base thing is that there was very much a let me think of how to phrase this. From the Base side, they were quite critical or yeah, I guess critical is fine, of Solana and the meme coins and how meme coins went down there, and they kind of positioned themselves as creator coins, right? And I don't think anybody I don't even think anybody on the Base side is really trying to make this distinction anymore, right? Between like creator coins and
it was a while there where it was 2 weeks there after a lot of discourse about what's a creator coin versus a meme coin.
And there was like a holier than now mindset for a while, and I think there was a pivot from that. I mean, at least I haven't seen that so explicitly yet, because creator coins quickly devolved into meme coins, right? And has there even been any, have there been any successful creator coins? I could be wrong, but like, is there a notable creator coin?
I mean, I think Jesse has one. He just launched his own coin, and I think when I logged into my Base app the other day, I saw it was doing pretty well. But so here's my take. I agree with you that creator coins are meme coins. But I think the reason that they are using different terminology is because, to my mind, this phrase creator coin speaks more directly to the problem in Web 2, which is that creators, generate so much money for the platforms they're on, but they do not generate money for themselves. So I feel like I understand, even though we all know that creator coins and meme coins are the same thing, I think to the non-crypto person, which is who Base is targeting here, it will speak to them in a way that the word meme coin won't. So I think that that's why they're insisting on this language. That's my personal take.
Alchemy is one of Walrus's many great partners. They're an advertising platform. Every click and impression is recorded on chain. They're live. They've got great clients. Coca-Cola is one of them. They're already processing more than 25 million ad impressions a day. And by building on Sui and Walrus, Alchemy's clients get two really big advantages. So the first one is cost saving, and the second one is full transparency over their spend. The real-time visibility they get allows their clients to make really fast decisions, do very effective A/B testing, and truly understand their ROI. And anything that involves money, like DeFi, this auditability, not only is it super important, but is actually a legal requirement in many places. And being able to prove what happened and that what you're saying has happened hasn't been edited or massaged in any way. Well, it's really important for DeFi today, but to be honest, it's only going to become more and more important as this industry grows and more value is pushed through blockchains.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the thing about this is like the money has to come from somewhere. Like at the end of the day, right? Like somebody's taking money out of the system, somebody's putting money into the system. Right? Like maybe it's Bitcoin or even Doge and it holds, but like probably not. So, I mean, like,
But it's not real. Like it's not real. Like I don't know how to articulate this. Like we can all see that the vast majority of this is just so clearly fabricated, and it's like the engagement is farmers and just short-term speculators. There's not like anything
like the actual fans are showing up and buying creator coins.
Exactly. Yes, and I just think
yes, fans.
I mean, I don't want to dignify it too much, but like I take your point that creators don't monetize, but in the same way, it's a weird concept to just assume that people who post on Twitter and are in some way successful like want to securitize that and have holders of their coin. Like that's not just an immediate connection in my mind. And there have been ways that a lot of us, like myself and then others, not to say that I have like some, it sounds self-important, but like I could have monetized my brand by launching some shitter and I didn't. And it's just like, it's not because I have some like moral superiority. It's like, I don't want to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who just don't do it for that. They do it for the love of the game or whatever, it's not like some assumption that like, oh, I'm being grossly underpaid for the post that I put out there. Is like, dude, you're shit.
No, but so where I disagree
is
with
Trump
you,
a creator coin? Is Trump coin a creator coin?
Yeah, in my opinion. I mean, so like
he's underpaid. He's only getting paid $400K a year to be president. He's got to monetize somehow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think there's like so many conflicts there. I don't approve of what he did, but Gwart. So where I disagree with you is that like I understand. Yeah, you're right. Like maybe some of these creators, they're not like thinking like, oh, I want to make money or whatever, but they are aware that somebody is making money off of them. So it's like, if somebody's got to make money off of it, why shouldn't it be me? Because I'm the one creating the content. Like,
right, but it's not okay. But okay, here's the difference. It's like, at least from my understanding, you can tell me if this is not how it works. But like, the way that it works functionally with creator coins is that I have some amount of the supply of creator coin, and then I dump it into my fans or whatever. Like it's like what Doug was saying. Like the liquidity comes from somewhere, and it's just like a transfer of like from. But there's like this assumption that my fans want to own, posts that you make, and it's like I don't. There's a disconnect in my head there, and I don't know. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like my understanding is that the way you make money off a creator coin is that you sell the creator coin. And so it's like now I've taken something that's worth, in my mind, $0 and sold it to somebody, and it's going to go to $0. Like I don't want to be involved in that, and I don't know that really resonates directly with creators. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, is that how it works?
Who's the biggest creator that's been made a base creator coin?
Right. Why can't you name one? Why can't you name the biggest creator?
Okay, wait. So this is embarrassing because we do have a Zora coin, and I don't manage it, so I actually didn't know the details.
So you're probably the biggest creator.
Of course, you like creator coins.
Okay. So
you would actually be the biggest base creator coin.
No. I'm
So it's Jesse.
Yeah, I have no idea because there's somebody else on the team who does that. So I actually don't know. But apparently
this would be an example of somebody who's actually like, because I thought it was just Jesse and like some OnlyFans like people at one point, or like he was getting that.
No. I think they invited kind of like Instagram-ish type people, as far as I can tell. But like the thing is, so at least from this quick search that I just did online, so hopefully I'm not spouting nonsense here, but creators earn 1% on the trades. They're not like just
Okay.
dumping a whole bunch of coin. That's not, yeah. As far as I understand, like we literally are earning some, yeah, I don't even know what we earn, if it's like USDC or ETH or what it is, but maybe down the line it might be this upcoming base token or whatever. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm sorry,
I guess
I don't know more about this.
here's my thing is like, I do think that a lot of this stuff feels like we're just grasping at straws. Like we are truly like on the last, like we're in the
Levels or something for crypto.
depths of where is like what use cases can we concoct, and maybe these things have some marginal demand, like on the fringes, and like maybe that persists, and I'm sure some of it will. But I'm just not going to sit here and like pretend that these are massive unlocks, because one, I like the fundamental premise is just I don't think everyone's going to be out there creating and coining it, because there's not enough good content. There's not enough people that want to do that. One, and then the other thing is that I do have like some reservations about like pretending that this stuff is real. Like we dignify a lot of this stuff when it's like, oh, it's just frivolous little games. Like they're just little trinkets. It's like we overthink, I think, like the value proposition. So I'm not trying to be too like, cynical about it.
It is funny. It's probably the largest use case of the largest L2 on Ethereum. It's like creator coins.
Yeah.
If you told somebody that 10 years ago, what's going to be the largest use case on the largest L2 of Ethereum? It was a creator.
I mean, what I will say is I actually have no doubt that there will be something like this that becomes a thing. I just don't think that it will become a thing until after like stablecoins have kind of become more used by all of society. I think once that happens and there's like a certain threshold that we've crossed where people don't need to think about it as hard. Like I feel like the obstacles for a normie to get to the point where they're using the base app and they're like doing these creator coins, it's like too many hurdles at this point. But like once we have wider adoption of stables, then I could totally see it taking off and I could see it really being a thing. But I just think it's a little bit early now. That's just my personal opinion. You guys, we're kind of running out of time, but we haven't even talked about DATs. So we'll move to the news about 21, which to my mind was maybe, like we had some DATs early in the year that were Solana based, but 21 was the first one where people really sat up and took notice of this trend. And then of course there were just like a slew of so many that happened after that. But yeah, let's talk about DAT mania, which now is clearly, the bubble's already burst. That one was a very short-lived mania, with all these MNAVs below 1. But yeah, what's your take on, this bubble that we saw spring up in first?
I'm going to paraphrase Gwart here, that I'm not sure if any of these DATs are real, or at least most of them should be dignified. I mean, I don't get it a ton, like what they're really doing here. Maybe like before there were ETFs and stuff and you can access coins, but I mean, I also maybe don't exactly get like what MicroStrategy is for.
You're spoken like one of those Ethereum devs that like doesn't understand finances.
Could be, yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, they're all like, the premise is I'm gonna buy $1 for $1.20 because it goes into a wrapper and somebody's gonna buy it for $1.50.
Yeah, but now you can spend 50 cents to get $1 worth of Bitcoin. So
yeah, I don't know, Gordon. You like. Are you bullish on that? I actually don't know your opinion on like MicroStrategy.
I'm actually probably one of the it seems like controversial this one, but I think MicroStrategy is. I think I think it's quite likely to be polarizing in the sense that like it either works or it doesn't, and there's not really much in between. I think what Saylor did was actually brilliant. I think what Saylor did is somewhat unique to what Saylor can do, and it is not necessarily extendable to the 18th, altcoin DAT. Like he found unique ways to tap into markets that can't buy Bitcoin directly, want to have these weird structured products that they can take on as a trade, and he pays out yield, right? Like there is a Ponzi dynamic here, and certainly with his most recent like preferreds, I mean, they're algo stable coins functionally, right? Like they are, pegged at $100, but they float, and the idea is that like ultimately the yield brings them up to this sort of persistent interest rate. I think that Saylor's strategy, and I think this is absolutely necessary in the long run, is that they become like a Bitcoin neobank, and they can provide a lot of services around. Like in the long run, I think this is the idea in mind. Now, like obviously people saw how this was working. Saylor's been doing this for 5 years, right? Like he's tapped into these massive pools of capital for the past 5 years. People saw how like well he's run this Ponzi, and they're like, oh, well, we should do this with, Cardano.
I don't even understand like exactly how that would work. Like, so if I look at something like an EtherFi where you put your Ether in and then it's like literally using DeFi in the background to generate these yields, like that makes sense to me, but I don't understand. You own stock in MicroStrategy, and like, how does that become your neobank? I don't get it.
No. I mean, like he hopes to become like Goldman Sachs, but it's denominated in Bitcoin. So there's giving out loans and providing liquidity and lending and borrowing. Like the thing is, it's almost just
because he has a
financial institution, because he has a massive amount of Bitcoin.
Oh, so, yeah. So people buy MicroStrategy, but MicroStrategy, in addition to its software business, adds on a new business where they have a neobank for.
I mean, I'm talking like this is, in my mind, in 10 years, in 20 years, if this was in fact a good idea, it's because they have been able to essentially become a behemoth because they have a tremendous amount of Bitcoin. And there's a lot of leverage there and economies of scales there if you are thinking in the same terms as JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and what they're able to do with a ton of liquidity. If Bitcoin becomes the global reserve asset, non-sovereign store of value, medium of exchange, whatever it may be, they have a massive lead, and like there are just, a lot of different things you can get into. Now, this is obviously somewhat.
I really like this reverse dynamic here, because normally I'm the guy who's like really optimistic and talking about.
Well, like for me, from a security perspective, I'm just like, why would they risk putting their Bitcoin in a place where they could lose a bunch of? I don't know. To my mind, I don't know if they would do that.
I can see that. I mean, it's plausible, right? Like you have the world's biggest treasure of Bitcoin.
Okay,
and then...
like the thing is, okay, so maybe you're right, but here's the thing. If what I'm saying right now does not come into fruition, then like IMNAV eventually in the long run converges on one at probably the highest, right? And how do they make money? Well, like they have all this like outstanding debt, and their software business, at least at the scale they're moving, is not going to cover that. So like that is the idea. But I don't think, I mean, I'm not as pessimistic on MicroStrategy. I think a lot, like as of late, because the market's gone down, people are like, oh, this is done. So I don't hold that opinion. I think it's like perhaps like the most brilliant financial maneuver ever, but it also could, if it goes to zero, it goes to zero. And like, we're all going to be like, oh yeah, what did you expect? It was a Ponzi. Obviously.
But you think that can't be replicated for like the SUI debt?
No, because the thing is, and this is like what really kind of like elucidated this for me, is like all these pools of capital, if they can be tapped, Michael Saylor is tapping them. And like Bitcoin is the largest market cap, like it's the most liquid, right? And there's like some defensibility there. Is like, are you really gonna be able to issue, some like exotic preferreds against SUI, which, like probably 1% of the world's population is heard of, maybe, right? Like it's much less realistic. So I don't know. The rest of the dats I'm a little bit like skeptical of, but we'll see. I mean,
I will say that Michael Saylor's AI slop game is just like,
is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he churns out so much AI slop featuring himself and gets thousands of likes on every single one of them, there's something very like that is an achievement. All right, you guys, this was so fun, but we're running out of time. So we are going to do a part 2 where we finish up the rest of the events of the year. And until then, it's been so fun chatting with you. And I look forward to hearing your funny takes for the rest of the events in 2025.